Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. And this week, we're talking about toughness, talent, timing, and more, what we learn from watching other sports. And this weekend, I got an opportunity to watch the NCATA, the NCAA emerging sport of acrobatics and tumbling. They had their national championships. And before last year, I would have been just like you. What's the NCATA? I would have had to Google it. But I've had the great fortune of working with Gannon University's A&T program, or acro and tumbling program, as they might call it. And that led me to speak at the NCATA Coaches Convention a while ago. And I've had an opportunity to work with a couple of other programs that were a part of the national championship this past weekend. So very, very, very exciting. What a sport. You've got to watch it. If you have ESPN Plus, go under gymnastics, click on that, go down and look at the acro and tumbling. Just pick anyone. Pick the national championship between Baylor and Gannon. It was amazing. We've got young women holding other women up by one hand, as you'll see in the picture if you go to my site and look at this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week. Just unbelievable. I watched this from a lot of different vantage points. Number one, I watched it from someone who can't even touch their toes. And then I thought, my goodness, when I do my thrusters and my workouts, I'm a wimp. Right? These women are amazing. As I mentioned, holding people like this in a pike position or legs almost straddle position. Just unbelievable strength, unbelievable focus, unbelievable talent. Number two, I looked at it as someone who loves structure. The entire event was set to timing, literally counts. They have to hold things for a certain amount of time. They have 8 people doing the same thing on a mat. Think of tumbling and having to land and finish at the same time. Just unbelievable structure. And then lastly, through my mental coach's view, I couldn't believe the focus, the amazing focus. To be able to hold your muscles in your body in those positions for that long, knowing that there are people under you or people above you that you're supporting or you're doing all this together. And then add to this that every little thing is being watched. Every flip, every spin, every landing, every foot movement, every single thing is being watched. And then every little thing that isn't perfect is a deduction. These young women live in a world of people looking for their mistakes. The judges have the rules, but again, they're judges, they're human beings, they have biases and all these things. They are setting the score to decide who wins and who loses. Think about it. Obviously we have umpires, we have referees, but the umpire and the referee never change the score literally. They don't shoot the baskets, they don't score the runs, they don't cross home plate, they don't shoot the goals. They may take one away for a foul or something like that, but they don't decide who wins and loses. These young women know that every move they make adds on to the next movement and the next movement and the next movement. So my thought was, what do we learn from an amazing sport like this? Number one, there are strong, pound for pound athletes. These women are stronger than anyone on our campus, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Put it up against the football players, and these women, pound for pound, are stronger. I would venture to say that they are mentally as strong as anyone on their campus as well. And here's one reason why. They made everything happen step by step. And they were able to move past any little mistake and go to the next thing. If their toe hold wasn't perfect, if their flip wasn't the exact same height as the group that was next to them, they kept moving forward. As opposed to thinking about what the deductions were going to be for their little mishap of whatever it was, they were able to move on to the next move. What's important now? They were winning every step of the way. And the hard part of that is they know that their movement right then and there could cost them the entire event. And yet they plowed on with a smile, with strength, with ridiculous perseverance. And that is really hard to do. How often do we let one pitch take us out of a bat? How often do we let losing one 50-50 ball get in our head and us not be able to take care of the possession, the rest of the possession? How often do we lose a possession and then go down and make a foul? We so often allow our mistakes to guide the next step. And in this sport, if you do that, you are screwed. Absolutely in big trouble. So that was huge to watch them be able to move from one thing to another, regardless of what happened before, and keep plowing and following the process. So often, we ruin our opportunities by having a focus on the goal as opposed to the means. We cannot be focused on the goal and the means, or the outcome and the process at the same time. If we're focused on the process, we're focused on what we need to do now. We're focused on the outcome. We can't be thinking about what we need to do now to get to the outcome. So we're focused on the goal. We can't be focusing on how we need to move to get there. And that is the difference between a successful possession or event or whatever it is, or an unsuccessful one. So that's number one. They were able to keep moving forward for the betterment of the team. Number two, following timing and pace is critical for success. Everything they did was to account. Everything they did was timed out perfectly. Some of them started farther off the mat when they were doing their tumbling runs because they knew they needed to land right here and be right here at this time. And at the end, boom, everyone done at once. In the other things where they had pyramids and tosses and all these other different things, there was always someone there counting, and they're counting to the pace. It doesn't matter how stressed they were. It doesn't matter how afraid they were. It doesn't make any difference how much they wanted to rush. They couldn't. They had to stay on pace for everything to line up perfectly, which made me stop and think. I've watched a lot of softball this spring, and I've seen a lot of people rush from one bad play to another. In fact, I was talking with one of my high school teams after they were getting their butt kicked the other day. They were just going from one bad play to another without stopping and taking a breath and setting in their own timing. I coach a sport that doesn't have a clock. These athletes have 2 minutes and 45 seconds, so they have to hold for 3 seconds. They have everything is timed. We didn't have a clock, and yet we acted like we had to rush through to get to the end of the 7 innings in record time because things were falling apart. So let's get faster and faster and faster. Even in a sport like soccer where the clock just runs incessantly, right? Or a sport like basketball where you have 10 seconds to get across the half-court line, or you have 24 or 35 seconds to shoot, or whatever it is. There's a clock there, but we have ample time if we trust our training and we stick to our timing. Everything we do has timing. We all have a pace that is a sweet spot. And yet when we get rushed, when we get pressured, we rush. The game speeds up. In acro, if you speed up, everything is out of sync. So their training is so structured and so timed out that it is absolutely amazing to watch them click, click, click as a team. That is something that we can talk with our athletes about a lot, and we should be talking to our athletes about, is saying, what is your timing? Where do you need to be? And how do you look when you're in your sweet spot? What's your pace? So if we can learn anything from this amazing sport, we can learn these two things. Number one, that what is important now is what keeps us moving. Who cares about the deduction? We are constantly doing deductions in our own head, even those of us who don't coach a sport that has deductions. We are deducting everything, and at the end, our score is not going to win internally, almost guaranteed. So we have to make sure that we are thinking about what's important now, not the result. What's the process? What's the next step? What do I do now? Secondly, thinking about that timing. What is that sweet spot of timing that allows you to use your talent to its fullest? Now go to ESPN, go to gymnastics, check out Baylor and Gannon or whoever you want to watch in this amazing sport and see what you can learn. And let me know, JulieJ at ssbperformance.com. I'd love to hear from you on the lessons that you took from this sport and tell me what you think. Until next week, manage the moments.